So I've posted 2 videos on the channel where I cover a few certifications that I've taken recently and what I did study-wise in order to pass them. But looking at it from a macro perspective, I never really broke it down into the time management techniques that I use in order to balance a full-time job and also studying for these exams. If you're thinking about the GMAT, the MCAT, the CFA, the CPA, or any other license or certifications while working full-time, this video is right for you. Let's get into it. So this entire video is pretty much about time management, but before we get into that, let's break it down into the basics. A day has 24 hours, and as things are now socially, it's usually broken down into 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours for doing everything else. Time management itself is pretty much changing things around between these 3 categories in order to make the most happen in one day. And in coming up with ideas about how to show this, I decided to use some nice anti-acid tablets in order to show you guys how I do it. So here are the 3 categories that I talked about. There's sleep, there's work, and there's other. Each category has 8 anti-acid tablets representing 1 hour each. To start things off, most people like myself don't actually work 8 hours. We work between 9 to 10. But to be conservative, let's just say 9. Then if you're working from home, that's great. But if you're commuting, I'd say that's another hour in waking up, getting ready, taking the subway or driving, etc. Then between preparing and eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I take another hour. Then take another hour for miscellaneous things like transitioning from one activity to the other, your mom calling you to see how you are, etc. You're pretty much gonna be left with 4 to 5 hours for your studying and doing anything specific to you that I missed here. But before we get into that, I want to cover something that is huge, which is sleep. If you work full-time, you're gonna be putting your mind through a lot between working 8 to 10 hours and then coming home and studying for these hard certifications. So getting the right amount of sleep is gonna be a must. I actually did not do this in college, and based on my understanding and my friends around, not a lot of people do it either. But after reading Why We Sleep, I understood the importance of making sure that I get at least 7 to 9 hours every single day in order to be able to work and also study for these hard certifications. I personally get 8 hours of sleep, and I make sure that I go to sleep at around 10:30 and then wake up at like 6:30. And talking about your mind being fresh and being able to retain all these concepts, you have to determine if you're either gonna be an early morning person or a late at night person. After a lot of trial and error, I actually determined that it's better to be an early morning person than being late at night, because your mind is just much more fresh when you wake up early in the morning, and that's the first thing you do. Work can be pretty intense, and I know that a lot of people watching these videos work even more than 9 to 10 hours every single day. But honestly, you don't really learn detailed concepts every single day. The majority of your work is most likely just applying the things that you already know. But studying for these certifications, you're actually learning new things, and that's where your mind has to be really fresh. When I was studying late at night, I usually found myself reading the same paragraph 2 to 3 times because it was just too late and I was just too tired from the workday. And more than that, when I would study between 8 to 10 p.m., it would just be really hard to go to sleep right after because your mind is just too excited or going through too many revolutions from all the things that you were learning about before. And it's fine if you're not an early morning person. I'm actually not that big of an early person myself, but I did have a few techniques that I applied and I made a video about it, which you should definitely check it out. So if you bring it back to the original plan of the anti-acid tablets, what are the few things that you don't really see here? Well, there's no time for doing groceries, there's no time for seeing friends, no time for going to the post office, watching a sports game, or any other important activities that you have in your life that I didn't include here. And that's why weekends are so important. When you're studying for these certifications, you're gonna realize that weekends are pretty much a work day that just doesn't have the 8 hours you have to spend working. So those are the perfect moments for you not only catch up on studying, but also catch up on any errands like you missed, like going grocery shopping, just walking around, resting, napping, anything that you want. A big one for me was working out. You might be one of those persons that says that you need to work out during the week, and if you can make it fit, congratulations to you, and you should definitely do it because it's really important also for your mind. But if you're like me, that takes me at least 15 minutes to get to the gym. It's just not something that I could add because you took away too much time through my day. But working out on the weekends is actually one of my favorite activities because it gives you some time to decompress, focus and exercise, and not have to be that rushed. And lastly, a lot of people watching this channel, including myself, are young, so we have to talk about alcohol. Alcohol goes with sleep, and actually it is shown that if you drink alcohol, your sleep is not the best. And like I mentioned, sleep is really important, so it's not really gonna help you if you're studying. But in reality, we're still young, so I'm gonna give you guys my 2 tips. The first one is no interweek alcohol. You can't be drinking during the work week because that's just gonna mess up too many things. It's gonna make your studying much harder. So if you're gonna drink, just do it in the weekends and try to plan ahead how you're gonna incorporate studying after maybe going out or spending some time with friends. And most importantly, depending on what exam you're taking, I would recommend that you suspend between 1 week to a month or even a month and a half of drinking before that exam. It's gonna help you get on that right mindset. It's gonna help you clear things up for you and not waste any time the next day being groggy or hungover or anything like that. And a bonus one is motivation. You might be motivated because you want to take the next step, because you have a lot of money on the line, or because you have a huge goal that you've been thinking about for many years. But you have to make sure that you define it. And every single time you wake up early to study, or you find yourself tired, or you're not going out because you have to stay in and study, you have to make sure that you go back to that source of motivation and you stick to it. Every single time that I will wake up at 6 a.m. and I'll be super tired, I will always remember one phrase that I really like. If it was easy, every single person will do it. So put that through your mind and keep working. And that's it. I really hope you guys like this video. Definitely studying and working full time can be very hard, but I promise you that if you keep grinding and you keep putting the effort, you're gonna see great results. And if you like this video, make sure that you hit the like button and you subscribe because we do videos like this every single Wednesday. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Peace.